got a good show for you today. This is Nurse Gina from Let's Talk About It and YouTube, talking about women who date men in prison. Let's go ahead and get into it. I love this little jam. Hey! Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. We've had technical difficulties all day, but I think we're ready to get into it. Hey peeps, it's your girl Nurse Gina from Facebook and YouTube. Come on in. If you want to be a part of the conversation, please join the link, follow the link that's in the comment section. I'll put it here to show you as well. If you want to be a part of the conversation, join that link. This may be a two-parter because there's a lot of information to share with you today. This is just going to be one of those good old, having a good conversation with a friend on today. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in and let her tell her own story. We've known each other for a long time. I met her like 30 years ago. We became really close friends. Her name is Irene. Irene, welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Welcome. Thank you. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So
got my shades on.
Let me go back.
I was getting ready to fall asleep, take a nap, but I said, let me put my shades on because otherwise you're going to see that I was about to go to sleep.
I'm trying to talk myself out of everything here today because I am really woke up early and all that. But anyway, glad you were able to finally get on and make it on today. We're talking about women who have dated men in jail. And the reason why this came about, everybody, is that I don't know if you guys know the reality TV shows like Love After Lockup. And so like a couple months ago, I started watching that show. And I said, if I didn't know a friend who actually had dated somebody in jail, I just wouldn't believe it. It's so much drama that goes on. And as in this case. And so I wanted to talk to Irene because she lived it firsthand. So first of all, I want to give Irene a chance to go ahead and introduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay. You have the floor, Irene. Go ahead.
I'm Irene. I was married to a minister for 27 years. I have 7 children with him. And after 27 years, we were divorced. And of course, we get lonely and we decide that we want to try to meet someone. And I found out that on social media, there were different people pretending to be other people and having different pictures, etc., on the websites. And I met a few good men that were in prison. And I say a few good men. There were 5 men that I was actually talking with. And one of them I met back in 2010. And we had actually formed a relationship. And in 2011, we were supposed to get married in the prison. But we began arguing and things like that. So it was like, you know what, let's hold off on this for a little bit. But he showed me.
Don't get into the meat and potatoes yet. Hold up. I want to understand something. Okay, I'm a registered nurse. Irene's a respiratory practitioner. And so I want you to understand this is the educated people. Okay?
Yeah.
This is the educated people. When you first told me, and this was years ago, because how long you've known this person?
Since 2009, 2010.
So that's a long time.
Years. Like over 10 years. Yeah.
So that's a long time to know someone that you're dating in prison.
Right.
And I remember when you first told me about this guy, and you were telling me you were talking to this guy, and how you guys met. Now let's talk about real quick. I want to talk about the phone situation because when you told me about the phones, I didn't really believe you. Tell me about the phone. Like, how are you guys communicating?
Well, it's actually the police officers that are bringing the phones in, and they're selling them to the inmates. And in order for them to kind of hide their privacy and to make sure that they're not caught, what they do is they have someone on the outside send the money by MoneyGram to a particular family member. And once they get the money, they call them back and say, hey, I got it. And then they'll deliver the phone through one of the other inmates. So the one that actually purchased the phone never sees the exact officer that's been, that's selling it to them. And they go for about $500 a pop.
They go for about $500.
About $500.
Every time or so, every 4 or 5 months, don't they get the phones confiscated?
Yes, they go back in and raid, and they know exactly who has the phones because they sold them to them. And once they rate them, then they take them in and they transport them to other prisons throughout the country. So it's a really, really big scam, so to speak.
Wow. I mean,
They have all kinds of officers in every prison across the country. And the reason I know that is because my friend had a phone and he told me, okay, that phone is dead now. Don't use that phone anymore. So I decided I would call it a little bit later. And once I called, I got someone in Mississippi that was in prison that
oh my
had
God.
that phone.
Oh, wow.
And so, over there, I don't know what happened, but he was able to come out on the weekends. And he wasn't supposed to leave the state. He flew all the way to California and got back home in time to get back in that prison by Monday morning. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, but the phones, they have this scam going to a silence. Okay. And I hope I don't get killed behind this, but yeah, they
no, that's why I really want you to give your name, you know, and that was it and stuff like that. But you know, with the internet, people are so smart. I mean, they can figure it out. So I want to go back a little bit to when you kind of first met this guy. And, you know, I was like, you know, you're a respiratory therapist, you know, like, come on, like you're educated, you know, what intrigued you about this guy that made you say, I really wanted to seek a relationship with him?
Well, initially it wasn't a relationship. It was going to be like a friendship. Someone, you know, a lot of the men in there, they're really lonely and they just want to have someone to talk to from time to time. But then as time went by and we got to know each other better, I don't know if you want me to go into that yet, but he started to show me who he was. And I considered him to be a man of integrity and great character. But as I went along, I found out that he was just basically mimicking his father, whom he was really, really proud of. And from what I could hear coming out of his mouth, I thought this was somebody that I could make it with. And I was going to marry him without even seeing him or ever visiting the prison because I was so impressed with his integrity.
Did you ever see him while he was in prison? Did you ever go visit?
I never went to the prison because, you know, the prisons, they have all these sheets of paper that you have to fill out. And they have all these rules, certain type of clothing and jewelry and all these other things. You just can't have it there. But if there was ever a raid, say someone came in and brought some drugs of some sort, then they would put the whole prison on lockdown, and you would be on lockdown if you were there visiting. And then you would have to agree to be searched, and that could be anywhere on your body. And I'm like, no, I'm not going inside a prison. I'm not getting caught in there because I can't account for what someone else is doing. I can only account for Irene. And so I said, you know, I don't want to go in there and put myself in a position where I'm going to be searched by officers, patted down, touched, or anything because somebody else brought drugs in. So I never went.
Girl, that's crazy. So let me ask you this. Did you know right away he was in prison? How did you find out? Did he tell you, hey, I'm in prison? Because, you know, when we were on the same site and I was meeting men too that were in a white shirt, right? But I'm naive, right? So he's looking good behind the wall there. And they tell me, they said, do you know I was wearing the same white t-shirt? I mean, how did you find out he was in prison? Did he tell you?
He was honest. He was honest and upfront. He said, I'm in prison. Yeah, he was honest. He said, I'm in prison and, you know, I'm just looking to find someone to talk to. And I saw your profile and it was really nice. So I thought I would reach out to you. He was honest. Okay.
Now, go ahead.
When I met him, I wasn't in the church. I had backslid away from the church. And during that time that we've known each other for the 10 years, eventually I came back to the church. And so, of course, you know, I'm trying to get him to, you know, turn around right along with me. But he did daily devotionals. But I kind of, towards the end, when he was telling me he was going to get out, in which he's out now, I kind of felt like things were changing. And so at that point, I told him, I said, when you get out, I said, I think you should be alone for at least 2 years and just find out what the world is like, because it's changed in 15 years of being in prison. And that's how long he was in.
Wow. So he caught a case for 15 years that he was in prison. Now I want you to talk about how you found out that you wasn't the only one.
Oh, when he got out, girl. He was like a dog that had been tied up for like 3 or 4 months. And if you've ever seen a dog that's been tied up, of course, he's on a chain, he's on a leash, and he's only allowed to go so far. But once he realized that chain is broken, he's been loose, oh, he runs around and just jumps all over everybody and gets in the grass and wiggles and just runs all up and down the street. This is the way he came out. I knew he was going to do this. I just knew it. And so I said, hey, do you? I had told him, go do you for 2 years. Okay. And then
But tell me about the text message. And if you're just joining us, go ahead and push that share button or start a watch party. Tell me about the text message, because that's what blew my mind. And I've had men do the same thing. Text me and do a group text. So y'all men out there, hurry up and understand that.
That's exactly what he did.
So tell me about that.
He made a mistake. He didn't really know how to use a cell phone that well. And so he sent a text to me, and it just went to like 20 different women. So in essence, he was actually talking to 20 different women. And when everyone started to reply, it was like, babe this and babe that. And, and I'm like, okay, who are all these babes? And I mean, some of them were really good women. One of them was a chaplain, and I don't know what, I know one of the ladies has a master's degree, and another, and everybody had a story, because one of the girls in the group, she decided she would call, and because everyone's telephone number pops up, she started calling everybody in the group and doing group phone calls, and I would sit and listen as she was talking to someone else, and then she would have someone else listen as she was calling me, and it was just, everyone was just saying the exact same thing. He was using the same lines on every single female in the group.
Wow.
And just like he was supposed to be married to me, he was supposed to be marrying this girl once he got out. And then there was another one that was calling him babe, who was a girlfriend. And then he also had a little young girl that was calling him sugar daddy. 24 years old. He's 59. Okay. So, I mean, he just had a whole lot of women. And I guess, maybe I'm making excuses for him, but being in prison for that long a period of time, the family usually abandons you. And so you have needs. Now, I'm not talking about a physical need, but I'm talking about, clothing, what do you call them? The thermals and blankets and all these different things. And then the food is horrible. I remember he told me, he says, guess what they gave me for lunch? I said, what? He said, 2 pieces of bread and 1 piece of meat. I said, nothing else on it? He said, nothing. He said, I'm a grown man. That's supposed to fill me up for lunch. And I was like, wow. So every 3 months they can get a box with whatever they choose. And they have a list, and, you have to pay, and have someone on the outside to pay. But I'm pretty sure after 5 years, everyone had forgotten about him. And so he did what he had to do. And that's what they're doing. They're finding women that can help them, assist them.
Yeah. How much money did you spend on him?
I'd say the packages were a little over $200. And I even told him, I said, well, you know what? There are some men in there who aren't getting any packages at all. I said, maybe you could speak with them. And sometimes I would buy 2 packages. And
I remember that.
He had a locker, and he would store all of his food in there.
That needed help.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So he would tell them, well, I'll allow you to get $20 worth of this or that. And of course they'd be, oh yeah, go ahead and get a box in my name. And then when it gets here, I'm gonna take my little stuff out and, give you the rest. Because then he knew maybe in another 3 months, he could get another box just as well. So it was interesting how they were doing little things to survive.
So Lisa, one of the viewers says, I have a very good friend who was married to someone she met in prison, and they have been married happily with a child for the past 3 to 4 years. So if I think a person wants to change, they will. And other relationships, they both know God. And Lisa, you might have missed the first part when Irene was saying that, when she first met him, she was not in the church at the time. And so they were already like unequally, yoked, if you will. And so, and then when she started going back to church, she was trying to, testify and minister to him. But my trip is that he already had a harem. Okay. He already had a bunch of girls, because like you said, Irene, he had to. What if you stop giving? The other one needs to be able to come up to come up and give. You
Yeah,
know,
he had a
but
backup. He had a spare tire for everything. Okay. He had a woman that would sit up with him at 4 o'clock in the morning and have phone sex. Why? I wasn't going to be doing that. For 10 years, she's been having phone sex with him. You think she got
wow,
a demon by now?
wow.
you
You know,
know?
I
And
mean,
that's the one he told, I'm going to marry you when I get out. So I'm
yeah.
married to her.
Let me ask you this. So, um, did he ever tell you he was married? Did he ever tell you personal things about I'm married, I have children, or I'm not married, or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen pictures of his daughter and his sons and his ex-wife. Very intelligent, very classy woman. And he told me he was never unfaithful to her. But when we got her on the phone, she said every weekend he was out there in the clubs,
Wow,
working with all kind of women. And I
wow.
guess eventually she just got tired.
She
So,
got tired of it.
mhm.
So we already talked about did you go spend? Let me see. I talked about that. Okay, what made you guys break up? Because
Um,
he just got out, guys, about I would say 3 months ago.
mm-mm,
So in the course of knowing him since 2009, that's
mhm,
11 years ago. Okay, what
mhm.
made you say I'm good? But you're still friends with him. But what made you say no?
Um, once I became a Christian or returned back to the Lord, I decided that, Jesus said at one point, he said, I was in prison. He said, you didn't feed me. You didn't visit me. When I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was naked, you didn't clothe me, and things like that. And I said, from this standpoint, I want to make sure that I cover those areas before I leave this world. And so I said, well, I'll continue to get boxes and everything for him. But at some point, a woman calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning
Mhm.
and tells me something about I'm talking to her man or something about her man. And this is the one that's been doing the phone sex with him all this time. And I said, well, we were supposed to get married back on 11/11/11. Okay.
Right, I
And,
remember
and
that.
so, yeah,
I
and she
remember.
said, wow, but she never would tell me the person's name. So she called me again another time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to call him and say something to him and see if he calls her. And if he calls her and then she calls me back again, I'm going to know that this is someone that he knows and he's the man that she's talking about. So I called and I told him, I said, what are you doing? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what have you been doing? And he said, nothing. What are you doing? Okay. You know how they turn it around on you.
Put it back on
What are
you.
you doing? I said, I'm not doing anything. And he said, oh, so you're making up some stuff? I said, no, I'm not making up anything. I said, I got a call from a woman and she told me this, 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 and this. She's been going through your phone and she got all these numbers and she's calling you and you're calling her at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you guys been you exchange pictures, personal pictures with each other. And now you're supposed to be marrying her when you get out. Well, he said, hold on just a minute, hung up the phone and called her. And after that, I was at work. My phone was blowing up. She called me 26 times, back to back to back to back. I finally had to just turn my phone off because she was disturbing me at work. But
Wow.
that right there
Wow.
was, okay, his integrity is now compromised. And all this stuff that he's been doing, he called, he apologized. I accepted his apology and everything. I told him, I said, it wasn't even about that. I said, I told you that I was going to do for you and help you out as long as I could, and then if we decided once you got out, if we wanted to be together, then that would be a totally different story. But now that he had done that, I was like, my guard went up. My guard went all the way up. I started dating. I started going out and dating and everything. I said, no, I'm not going to sit around here waiting for somebody for 10 years. And then he gets down, he's going to go be with somebody else. No.
I think maybe some women, like we were talking earlier on the phone, it's making it hard for a lot of women because women nowadays are so ready to lay on their back. They so ready to just jump into to it with someone without even getting to know them. And men know that. Okay.
Yeah.
They know that.
Down here all thirsty.
Yeah, that's it. They
All thirsty, looking for a man, want a man,
That's it. They're thirsty as hell. And when you don't want to do that, then they feel like this the way the man feel like this, like, oh, but there's plenty that will do it. And then you end up, getting like, oh yeah, because there's plenty that will do it. Let me ask you this. what happened when he got out?
When he got out, I didn't even know that he was out for a while. And then when I finally did find out that he was out, he was in a program. They have to go through this program, wearing an ankle bracelet, you know, getting their driver's license, social security cards, and all this stuff, getting ready so that he can go to work. He's going through a program, taking some kind of training. He did try to get an associate's degree while he was in prison, which I thought was good. But he already had a trade as a plumber. So from there, he could have, you know, gotten a job, but he wanted to do something different. So, but in the meantime, like I said, once I found out that he was out, I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? You know, you're not going to come and meet me. You know my address because you've been writing me letters. You've been sending me birthday cards for years. You know, you've been sending me Mother's Day cards and everything like that. You've been buying me things, you know, so I just, well, you know, I'll kick back and see what he does. Like I said, I kind of had the feeling he was going to be that little wild dog, you know, tied up dog that got loose and start running all around. And I said, hey, do you?
So did you ever get a chance to meet him though?
Yes, when he got out, he borrowed $300 from me. And he says, I'm going to give this to you in 2 weeks when I get my check, because he had started working. And he came up to my job and I saw him for a few moments and I got a chance to hug him. It was really, really emotional for me because I knew that I was instrumental in helping him to stay out of trouble.
That he came out, I know that me and you had talked, and I was kind of disappointed with him because of all the people and of all the things that you did for him. You know, it seemed like he would have been ready to take you out, you know, show you off, say to his family, this person right here had my back the entire time. When you were working those 2 jobs and you was making a lot of cheddar. Next time we do the live thing. But Irene, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. What would you say to women out there that are dating men in prison? What would be some things that you would leave with them today?
These men are in prison for a reason. They've all compromised integrity somewhere along the way. So I would say guard your heart. You know, if you're going to be dating someone, and not to just believe everything that comes out of their mouth. They've got had some dishonesty somewhere along the way. And I would just say, keep your wall up, keep your guard up, and wait until they get out to show you who they really are. That's the main thing. My friend was mimicking his father the whole time. He would think like, okay, what would my father say to her? And that's the man that he had, like I said, a lot of respect for, but he wasn't that man himself, or at least he didn't appear to be that man once he got out. But I know he has a lot of good in him. I'm not here to assassinate his character or anything like that, but I just want to warn the women, you know, that there's a reason why a lot of them have not worked very often and haven't had a job. A lot of them are thieves and stealing and robbing and murderers. Even I've had a friend that married a murderer and she didn't know it. And he ended up killing her, stabbing her 36 times. Okay. She used to be a friend of mine, used to text me and so forth.
Wow.
But he was careful. He took her children, left them with her mother, took her back to the little motel that they were living in, and stabbed her 36 times.
Wow.
So you want to be careful. Be very, very careful. Yeah.
Okay. And even with the ones on the outside, let me tell you something. A lot of them just be lying. That's a whole nother subject.
They're pathological liars. They're going to say whatever they need to say. They're going to say what they think you want to hear.
That's it.
And draw you in.
That's it. And draw you in. And you have to kind of wonder and kind of, you know, people say that my facial expressions are the way I am. You know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you're too independent. You're too this, you're too that. You know why? You want to know why? Okay. Because I'm done with lacklusterness, you know. And then they be lying and they 50-something years old. And you're like, what's going on here? But that's a whole nother subject, everybody, that we can talk about for another 30 minutes. Irene, I want to thank you for coming on again, giving our viewers some pointers and stuff like that. This has been a fun conversation. And I just want to say to everybody that have joined us today, thank you so much for your support. And if you have not done already, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Facebook. This is your girl, Nurse Gina. I'm out. You guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.